Hi everybody, it's Susan from Sunrise Quilt Studio. Today I'm working on the long arm again with the embroidered block quilt, and I'm working on the body of the quilt, so I want to show you how I am putting that design in. Okay, now if you remember, this quilt has the pre-stamped embroidered blocks, and I decided I wanted to follow the quilting lines that they have stamped in there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, but I'm also going to do something different over here, where the design is going to cross over from the embroidered block into the piece block, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But at the moment I want to start doing the quilting here and show you how that is going to go. And I have not quilted one of these blocks yet, so I haven't figured out exactly the path. I don't believe I'm going to be able to find a path where I don't have to stop and start somewhere, so I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. But let's see what we can do here. In fact, I have, kind of traced it with my finger to find a path, and I just could not find a path that would not require stopping and starting, so I'm just not going to worry about that. But I'm going to start here in this lower corner, and this is my lower left corner, and I'm going to go right down this dotted line here, and it's going to go towards the center. And now I have a circle here that is surrounding the flowers in the center, and I don't have a small template that would fit in here, so I'm going to just freehand this. I'm going to go all the way around, and this is really wobbly, so let me, okay, I'm going to use a guide anyway, but it doesn't fit in here, but this will be a good guide. And I'm just turning my template as I go to hopefully get a smoother edge around this circle. There, that's better. And then take some tiny stitches. I'm going to go ahead and break thread. Now I could go ahead and quilt on top of this and go on to the next section, but I don't think I'll do that, other than I do want to kind of smooth this out a little bit, so I'm going to have to do some ripping out of stitches. But I've got I've got a dip in there that I don't like, so I'm going to fix that. And then later on I'll come back and I'll rip those stitches out, the ones I don't like. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and quilt around this heart, and I'm going to start here at the bottom. And then see how I do freehanding this. Now I'm on 12 stitches per inch here, and I am on stitch regulated mode. Okay, let's do this line. This one, let me grab a ruler here. This line doesn't extend quite all the way, but I'm going to go ahead and extend it. And this is just a straight line. And And that line stops right there. I don't see any more dots going through, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to run it up to this little embroidered feather so it doesn't stop just in the middle of nowhere. Now on these embroidered blocks, you can quilt on top of your embroidery like I did here. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. And then this one also is not extended all the way. I like to be able to extend this all the way to the edge of my piecing. So, and this one's better though. This one I can see a little bit better. That one goes right to the tip of that heart, and then it comes out. So we're going to just follow it on. And then I'm going to go through the ditch to the next line. Right out there. And then come on down. Okay. And then I'm going to come over here and do this one. And then I'm just going to stop that one here. Now, oops, broke my thread. Now these blocks that run right into another block, I am not going to stitch in the ditch. That's why I am cutting the threads. Now on these outer blocks, like around the edge of the border, I don't mind stitching in the ditch because I have already stitched around those borders. But this, in this area and here, this design is going to flow into the next block, so I don't want the design to be interrupted by having some stitch in the ditch there. So I need to extend my line here so I can see it a little better. Extend it on that side and this side. And extend this one. I also notice that these dots aren't exactly, they're not completely straight either, so I have to follow my ruler more than the dots. And I'm real close to my bar here, my belly bar, so it's I can't go in any further. I'm right at the very edge of it. So stitching in the ditch there would be a little difficult anyway. So let's go down to here. And then I'm going to finish this heart and then work over here. I'm going to adjust the camera for that. Okay. Now what I've done with this area is where these lines that are already marked on the block extend out. I just went ahead, extended them to the end, and then just carried them on into the piece block. So we've got, this design is just going to carry on over to here. So I'm going to go ahead and quilt this square, and then I'll quilt this one in. And this is one that ends right at some embroidery work. So I'll get right to the seam and then just pivot and carry it on. And I just wobbled, so I'm just going to go back over that. Okay, there is that. And then I'll do this one here, and this one goes right to that crevice in the heart. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so that design's just carried over, and what I wanted to do was to do a feather in here, and I'm going to go ahead and do another outline in here by 1/4 of an inch, and this one I don't need to mark. I guess I can just line my ruler up with my previous stitching. And just go up to that seam. Want my thread tails out of my way. Okay, got that part done, and then go in the center here, and so I want to find my center mark, and I just need to do that because my center vertical line is the seam. So I know where that is. Get these thread tails out of my way. Okay, so now I have a little feather in the middle. And that just kind of gives it a little extra something. And so I've got space here that I could do a background filler with this if I want to. And I don't think I will, because I think that's pretty well balanced. This is, you know, some dense quilting, but the rest of the quilting in this quilt is not dense. But I'm going to go ahead and do this, but not carry it out throughout the whole quilt, if that makes sense. Okay, now we're going to switch over and work on the pieced block. So let's make another adjustment with the camera. Okay, so for this piece block, you know, I've got this part of the design done, and I'll do the same thing on this opposite side, and on these, on all the sides we'll be doing this. So I'm going to just go ahead and do a cross hatch in through here. So let me get my threads locked in. I'm just going from point to point within the square. I'm a little off on that one. Now these piece blocks won't take as long because half of the design is the design that overflows into the other block, so that will be a help. And let's go down. Now for this quilting here, I could have switched over to a purple thread, but chose not to. Okay. Okay, I have some of my lines drawn here and on both of these sides, and it took a little figuring out. This one went in really well and really straight, and then as I was following the lines from this block on over, things were just a little bit skewed, so I had to try a couple of times to get everything to kind of balance out. So what I wanted was for these points to end in the center of these rectangular blocks, which are 2 inches wide, so up to the 1 inch mark. This one was coming way up to about 1 and almost 3/4 of an inch up, so I had to make some adjustments to get that to look right. So I'm going to go ahead and quilt this part in. This part I put some guidelines through the center of the block here, and I think I will do that with the others, is, you know, go right through the center of this block, because I know this block is nice and square, and use that to help me with the other guidelines. And stitch over in the ditch to get to this line. And then I'm going to do another 1/4 inch line there. So this will just be like a half of a square, which would be a triangle. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stitch over, and I'm going to do kind of just the half of the center of the spiral feather, and then go ahead and quilt this in. Okay, that part is done. And then I will do this part, and then, well, let's go ahead and do this one. I think this is all pretty much within frame. I'm trying to figure that out. It looks like it is. Okay, so let's do this. Now here's the center that goes between two of the blocks, between this embroidered block and the piece block. And then here is the piece block, and I don't have this part quilted yet because I will do that when I'm going to do the whole thing, and I just need to advance the quilt. So the quilting in the piece block is just, you know, a big crosshatch through the center of the block diagonally, and then just carrying the design over from this block into that block. This is the first embroidered block, and I have trying to move the machine out of the way so get the shadow out. Here's the first embroidered block, and I decided to add an extra line of quilting right in there. My furnace is ready to kick in, so let's see. And then I got the sides done, so that's looking pretty good. And the pieced block, I will finish this part when I get down to when I advance the quilt and do that. So, and that's the same on this embroidered block. That'll be completed with the next row. And so I'm pretty happy with the way this is turning out. So it's going to take me a while to get this done, so I've got another project I'm working on. So next week, hopefully I'll have this all completed and I can show you the finished quilt. Thanks for watching. For more quilting ideas, click on the video links. And to keep up with my latest projects, click on the subscribe button. I hope to see you again soon.